In a small town surrounded by golden hills and winding rivers, there lived an old man named Rafi. He had little to his name, just a small hut by the river, a few worn-out clothes, and a heart that seemed to hold more kindness than the world could understand. Every morning, as the sun painted the sky with orange light, Rafi would walk to the riverbank, carrying a basket of freshly baked bread. His neighbors often wondered why. He lived alone, had no family, and barely earned enough to feed himself. But every day, without fail, he would leave one loaf of bread on a flat rock by the river. He never missed a day. When people asked him why, he would smile gently and say, "The river carries blessings both ways." No one really understood what he meant. Some thought he was simply eccentric, a harmless old man lost in his own world. Others admired his kindness, though they didn't see the purpose. After all, who would eat bread left on a rock by the river? One young man, named Ishan, was particularly skeptical. He often mocked the old man behind his back. "Look at him," Ishan would say, "giving away food he can't afford. The river doesn't return anything. The world doesn't work that way." But Rafi never argued. He only smiled and kept leaving his bread each morning, whispering the same words, "What you give will find its way back to you." Days turned into months, and Rafi's habit continued. Each morning, after placing the bread, he would sit for a few minutes by the gentle water and pray for the world, especially for his son, who had left years ago to find work in a distant city. Rafi hadn't heard from him since. Still, he prayed, believing that goodness always finds its path home. But one morning, things changed. Rafi woke up to find that he had no flour left. His cupboards were nearly empty. For the first time in years, he had nothing to bake. He looked at the last small piece of bread from the night before. His stomach growled, but his heart spoke louder. He picked up the bread, held it close, and walked slowly toward the river. With trembling hands, he placed that final piece on the rock. "Maybe this will reach someone who needs it more than I do," he whispered. Then, weak and tired, he went back home, unsure how he would survive the next day. That afternoon, a storm rolled through the town. The river swelled and raged, flooding the lowlands. The villagers rushed to secure their homes, but Rafi's little hut, near the water, was badly damaged. When the storm passed, he sat outside, drenched and shivering, watching the river carry away broken branches and debris. His heart ached, but not from loss. He simply hoped that whoever found his bread had been safe from the storm. As the days passed, Rafi grew weaker. Hunger gnawed at him, but he refused to beg. The people in the town forgot about him, too busy repairing their own lives. Then one evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the river gold, Rafi heard a knock at his door. When he opened it, he froze. Standing there was a man, soaked, tired, and wearing torn clothes, but his eyes were filled with light. "Father," the young man said softly. Rafi blinked in disbelief. His son, Amir, was home. He looked thin, his face worn from years of struggle, but he was alive. Tears welled in the old man's eyes as he stumbled forward and embraced him. "I thought I lost you," Rafi whispered. Amir nodded, his voice breaking. "I almost didn't make it back. I was stranded by the storm. For days, I had nothing to eat, nothing to drink. I thought I would die by the riverbank." Rafi's heart pounded. "The riverbank?" Amir continued. "Yes. I was so weak that I collapsed near the edge of the water. But when I woke up, I found a piece of bread beside me, soft and dry, as if someone had just left it there. That bread kept me alive long enough for travelers to find me and bring me home." The old man fell silent, his breath trembling. The river carried blessings both ways. He understood now that the very bread he had given away, the act of kindness he thought had disappeared downstream, had somehow found its way back to save his own son's life. Tears streamed down his cheeks as he looked toward the river, whispering through a shaky smile, "What you give will always return, even if it takes the long way home." That night, The people of the town gathered at Rafi's house after hearing his story. For the first time, Ishan, the young man who once mocked him, brought flour, oil, and salt as gifts. "You were right, old man," he said quietly. "The river does return blessings." Rafi only smiled, handing Ishan a loaf of bread from the fresh batch he had just baked. "Then let's see where this one goes," he said. The next morning, 2 loaves sat on the rock by the river instead of 1. Moral of the story: goodness is a current. It never stops flowing. Sometimes it takes time, sometimes it travels far, but it always finds its way back to the source. When you give without expecting anything in return, the universe has a way of returning the kindness when you need it most. So keep doing good. Keep being kind. Even when no one says thank you. Even when no one notices. Because what you give today might be the very thing that saves you, or someone you love, tomorrow.